Over my last two videos, I've beaten Tides of Darkness with only basic units. There were some fun moments, but let's be real. Tides is one of the easiest campaigns Blizzard has ever released. Tides was but a stepping stone on the way to the true challenge, the true endgame. The true challenge was always going to lie beyond the Dark Portal. Unlike Tides, Beyond the Dark Portal is a legitimately brutal campaign. In my opinion, most of the levels in these campaigns are harder than the average brutal level in StarCraft 2, or average hard level in Warcraft 3. To complete these campaigns, I will need to dig in for the long haul, be ready to use all the cheese I can find, and demonstrate the full power of Grunts and Footmen. Beyond the Dark Portal introduces hero units, which look like regular units with improved stats. On most levels, if my heroes die, I lose the mission. One of my heroes here, Kogarth, is a grunt, so he's fine to use. The other, Dentarg, is an ogre, so I treat him as an allied unit that I'm not allowed to command. To protect him, I build a couple of towers near him, but after the first attack wave, the enemy ignores him, so I'm able to keep him alive. In response to the Horde's horrific mishandling of the invasion of Azeroth, the Shadow Grunt clan starts a revolt. Our first target is the extremely dumb Bone Chewer clan. These orcs consider it a sign of strength to attack the enemy alone, which is about the worst possible strategy they could have chosen. With guard towers and hold position grunts, I'm easily able to hold off their attacks and build up an army. After building up, I ascended my army and overwhelmed the Bone Chewers, showing them the power of the Horde when it works together. I eventually lose my massive army to the last few towers, but have more than enough money for reinforcements, finishing them off. In response to our rebellion, the Bone Chewers bribe the Thunderlord clan, but it really doesn't matter. Enemy attacks are a bit more coordinated this time, and it's a little scary at the beginning. Once I secure an expansion, I easily build up to a large army, smashing both opposing orc bases and moving on. The Rift Awakened starts with a challenge as my grunts attempt to retake the Great Portal from the humans. At the start, I'm given a small army, which I'm supposed to use to smash a small base to the northwest, then take their gold mine. Unfortunately, my army only has a few grunts, which means I can't take out Teal. Exploring around, I find two options left to me. The first, obvious path is a gold mine to the south, guarded by two cannon towers. The second path, and the one I choose, is to attack Purple's base to the southwest. For some reason, Purple starts out this map with absolutely no defenses, and by charging my grunts and peons through the edge of Teal's base, I'm able to get rid of Purple completely before they are able to build up and become a threat. Since the level gives me 7,000 gold to start, I'm able to quickly build up a bunch of towers, which I need because the enemy attacks early and aggressively. To mess with the AI's pathfinding, I build farms in front of a wall of guard towers, then train grunts to supplement my defenses. After a few tries, I have a pretty stable base, but when I scout out to see what Teal has, I'm shocked at what I see. This mission is designed so that I normally kill Teal before I even get a base, so this is the first time I've ever gotten to see them build up. And they have so much! If they didn't block out their peasants from mining with their army, they'd probably have even more. A minute later, Teal attacks me with this army, so I figure I'm safe to attack back, but they've built back up by the time I get there and I make no progress. Teal's AI feels way more competent to me than the traditional campaign AI, and that's because it is. While most enemies have custom AI scripts, Teal and Purple both have the land attack AI, which is a much more general AI that trains up huge ground armies. Essentially, I'm playing against a melee AI instead of a campaign AI, which normally doesn't get a chance to build up because the player destroys them in the first minute of the mission. I want to thank MFromAzeroth for this information. He has a bunch of cool videos explaining some intricate details of this game. He also managed to prove me wrong on my Archers Only Warcraft 3 video, sharing how to do a non-base level that was thought to be impossible with just archers. I'll leave a link to his channel in the description if you're curious. Pretty soon, Teal's gold mine runs out, which means it's time for a new tactic, Peasant Slaughter. Unlike in future RTS games, the Warcraft 2 AI actually plays fairly, which means it needs to mine gold in order to continue producing units. It also will constantly send penitents towards the nearest gold mine, regardless of whether that gold mine is defended. By cutting off their peasants from their mine, I'm able to drain resources from the AI while still being able to fall back to a defensive position. Afterwards, I expand there to gather the precious gold for myself. Realizing I should probably secure the other gold mine to the east, I bring a group of grunts and peons there, only to gasp in horror as I discover Teal has already mined it all out. They even built an extra tower to protect it. While I slaughter many of Teal's peasants and cut off Teal's town hall in the area, This level just got a lot tougher. After a while, Blue's gold runs out and I control the last remaining mine on the map. Teal exhausts most of their army against my defenses, then I sweep in and destroy the rest of their base. Only Blue remains, but their base is massive, with a ton of walls and towers to confuse my units. For the next 10 minutes, I poke around Blue's base while spending the last of my money on grunts, trying to figure out how in the heck I can possibly destroy this thing. After realizing that Blue is just way too much money to starve them out, I decide to go for it. I don't even get close. Blue just has way too much. Their towers shred my grunts apart. They are constantly training reinforcements, and they are rebuilding all of their production structures. My army falls, and I lose. The key to this level is the Eastern Gold Mine. Teal expanded to it far earlier than I anticipated, which means I need to seal it off much, much sooner. As soon as my base is stable, I send over 9 grunts to the Eastern Gold Mine, this time catching Teal right after they had expanded. This time, I destroy their town hall, cut off their extra income, and place towers next to both expansion gold mines to protect them. When I get my first expansion mine down to 1,000 gold, I pull my peasants and stop mining from it, so it can serve as a lure for Teal and Blue. The enemy will continuously send peasants towards any open mine so long as they have money, so this helps me continue to drain their resources while I plan my attack. By the time I've mined out the rest of the map, I am maxed out on grunts with 9,000 gold in the bank. I overwhelm Teal with 10-fold control groups of grunts, spend all of my money to remax, then prepare my assault. I lose 60 grunts destroying the northern outskirts of Blue's base, then lose another 30 assaulting the towers in the southwest. I paused, gathering 54 more grunts to assault Blue's main massive towers, and with that, I finally break through. Once I'm inside the walls, it's all over, and Blue's fortress falls before my horde. Oh, also, there was a Death Knight hero I needed to protect this mission. I literally never moved him, and Blue never tried to kill him, so, yeah, that worked out. And with that, the introduction levels are over, and the tough part of the campaign begins. The Shadow Grunt clan, now in Azeroth, needs to deliver an important message to some dragons who shamefully got captured by the Alliance during the war. This message lets the dragons know in no uncertain terms how much they suck, and how they'll never be as cool as a grunt. Multiple large human bases guard these dragons, and breaking through is not going to be easy. I actually start with 10 grunts, which is a pretty sizable defense force for early attacks. I know I have to expand early, so I test out using my starting grunts to take out the defenders near the first mine. I fail miserably and reset to right before the attack. After this, something really weird happens. The AI just kinda stops working. For the entire rest of the level, the AI never sends an attack wave towards my base. The AI also stops upgrading completely, stops training new units, and just completely shuts down. I don't realize anything's off until I expand. At this point, it hits me that Purple hasn't sent any griffins to my base, and that Blue hasn't attacked me since they sent 2 knights at the 1-minute mark. Blue is on level 2 knight upgrades, and never gets another upgrade for the rest of the level. Taking advantage, I just kinda destroy everything very easily.
I had never had this happen before. All I knew was that the level was normally really hard, and that the AI gifted me a free win. So, while I was editing this video, I asked MFromAzeroth, who told me that yes, this game really is this broken. Saving then reloading in the right spot can make the AI forget where it is in the script, and also stop the AI from gathering lumber. If you reload in the right spot, the AI just breaks, and, well, it happened here. Since I didn't know about this until after finishing my runs, I'm going to be saving and reloading a lot in the footage, and could have accidentally triggered this glitch at any point. The only time I'm certain I triggered this glitch is right here, but there are a few other points in the campaign where I still think I might have. This glitch is part of the game, so it's fair game, but it still does feel a little cheap to me. So, if I have the time, I may play through a saveless version of basic units only, just to see how different things are. If I get interesting results, I may make a follow-up video about it. No promises, but that's the general plan right now.
Now that the dragons have been told off, our next stop is New Stormwind. The humans there don't seem to appreciate a grunt army showing up at their doorstep, and respond by attacking with paladins, mages, and lots of griffin riders. You normally start the level with a bunch of axe throwers, but without them I need to get up a ton of guard towers immediately in order to fend off the mini griffins attacking my base. Teal's base is protected by a grunt-proof force field to the west, and constantly sends griffins to attack me, while blue attacks me with huge waves of a bit of everything thrown in there. I need to be on top of things in order to survive, but with a ton of towers and grunts, it's not too bad, and I'm able to build up a solid army. I also wall in a random Death Knight hero in the back of my base, so he isn't targeted by enemy paladins. Eventually, my starting gold mine runs out and I need to expand. There's only one expansion location on this map, and defending it is crucial. I send my army to the expansion while building as many towers as I can next to the mine. Blue's attacks increase in intensity as they start sending mages. Blue's attacks increase in intensity. Blue's attacks get bigger over time, as they start sending mages and paladins to assault my new mine. Once again, I need to be on top of my micro, but eventually, I am able to secure this mine for good and start building up a large bank. Normally, I'd target teal first while playing this level, which has a much weaker overall base than blue. However, grunts can't actually reach teal's base, and via the extension of my destroyer rule, I'm not allowed to train goblin sappers until every opposing grunt accessible building has been destroyed. That means the only target I can reach right now is blue, and blue's base is a problem. Towers and walls coat the outskirts of my base, while mages, paladins, and griffins defend these walls. Whenever I attack blue's base, I'm generally able to make some progress, but am driven away by reinforcements, and just can't seem to summon up enough gold to totally break through. I have to reset several times as I run out of money. However, I'm not worried. The key here is patience. Blue's reinforcements are what's pushing me back, so I just need to patiently wait to amass a big enough army to break through in one massive strike. First, I send my units around the outskirts of blue's base to kill off any stray units that are unprotected by towers. After that, I charge in with 45 grunts, demolishing blue's outer defenses and several production structures. A griffin drives me away, but I come back with a vengeance, bringing in 27 more grunts and a few peons to support with guard towers. Blue hasn't recovered by the time my reinforcements arrive, and my grunts completely level new Stormwind. Only teal remains, and they are not a threat. I reluctantly train a few goblin sappers to blow up the grunt-proof wall around their base, then I send in my grunts to finish off the final base. Surprisingly, teal is still mining gold when I finish them off. New Stormwind is now a memory, and grunts reign supreme in the city. Now we have the Seas of Azeroth, which is the first naval mission in this campaign. To prove that the ocean doesn't scare us, we need to build 5 shipyards and destroy every single enemy ship. I'm a bit concerned going in, because grunts aren't so great at naval combat. Let's do this. I start with a small base and no army, which is actually perfect for this challenge. My early game is still pretty standard. I build up a bunch of grunts and guard towers while setting up my economy. There are 2 enemies in this level. Blue has a powerful base to my south and is constantly attacking me with ground forces. Meanwhile, teal is across the ocean and harasses me with ships and griffins. I have a couple of choices when it comes to dealing with blue. I don't need to kill them to beat the level, so I could just try to efficiently defend my base and starve blue out of resources while focusing on teal. Alternatively, I could try to build a huge army of grunts and kill blue quickly, then take over their gold mine for the horde. Obviously, I choose option 2. Blue's base is very well fortified, and it takes me a couple tries to break through, but eventually I overwhelm their base and take their gold mine, giving myself an additional 36,000 gold to work with. I've won the land battle, but the naval battle was always going to be the real struggle. As I scout around and try to secure an oil platform, I realize I have a couple of choices of where to go next. My first choice is a heavily fortified island close to my main base that's guarded by a ton of towers and soldiers. My other choice is teal's main, which is guarded by a single griffin and no towers? Wow, yeah, that's an easy choice. My first attempt ends in failure, as I lose a transport on the way to teal's base and fail to get up a guard tower in time. My second attempt goes much better, as both my transports make it, and my grunts distract the griffin long enough for me to build a guard tower in the middle of teal's base. My guard tower kills the enemy griffin, and Teal is no longer mining gold. Next, I send over 2 more transports full of peons, then build cannon towers to sink enemy battleships near the shore. I also construct a town hall to mine Teal's gold, a shipyard to train more transports in Teal's base, and a barracks so I can train more grunts to finish off Teal's buildings. Eventually, I have a couple of transports that I can use to ferry over grunts to Teal's second island, which I use to destroy the rest of Teal's towers, farms, and shipyard. Teal is unable to create any more units, which means that all I need to do now is clean up everything else on the map. Teal has only 1 more island left, and it's decently fortified. However, I have way more than enough gold to take care of it, and I'm able to destroy everything Teal owns with grunts. After leveling Teal's last building, I construct a ton of cannon towers on the edge of all my islands, destroying every ship within reach. Unfortunately, most of Teal's ships are on hold position, which means I have no choice now but to create a fleet. With no other option to finish off the level, I train up a ton of destroyers, sink all of Teal's ships, and wait for the victory screen. And I continue waiting. Thinking I missed a ship, I send ships all across the map and... oh, wait, I need to build a 5th shipyard. I build it, and the victory screen shows up. Honestly, the transport strategy performed way better than I anticipated. Sending units over to cripple Teal early might actually be a good strategy while playing this level normally. I'll need to think about that one in the future. Now, my Wa moves to Kol Tiras. I begin the level with a large army and some ships, and need to make a landing on a strip of land to the southwest. Surprisingly, I don't actually need to destroy any human structures to set up my base, which means I'm able to load up my grunts and peons into transport and quickly get them to the gold mine. Before doing anything else, I construct 2 guard towers to defend my Great Hall. A griffin finds my base almost immediately, but my guard tower snipes it, and I'm able to kill off the rest of my army to free up supply. I build up for a while, then expand to another gold mine. This one's undefended, so it's pretty easy to take. Teal is the only enemy on this map, but they have a massive base that stretches out over the majority of the map. I need to expand to a 3rd gold mine, but this one is defended by the most evil trap this game has to offer: walls. Walls in this game are neutral passive. That means my grunts will not attack a wall unless I specifically tell them to attack it. If I do tell my grunts to attack a wall, they will not attack the entire wall, but only the tiny section of the wall that I tell them to attack. Walls have a bit of health and take time to destroy. They also block pathing, so if I tell my grunts to go somewhere, and they run into a wall, they will just line up against the wall and give up. This is true even if there are enemy units or towers on the other side of said wall. And there are. There always are. In Beyond, the map designers love surrounding cannon towers and ballistas with walls, meaning to kill these units, I need to first manually target the walls in multiple places, then target the enemy unit or building inside the walls. While I'm doing this, my grunts line up right outside of the wall and volunteer to get killed by splash damage. Oh, also remember that enemy cannon towers still don't aggro my units, so I need to target those manually too, even after I've destroyed the walls. This is brutal. I reset a lot trying to get this right. The only saving grace here is that Beyond offers you a lot of money, so I throw wave after wave of grunts at the problem until my sheer numbers overwhelm the fortifications with their bodies. My next target is Teal's main base. Attacking into the rest of Teal's walls is brutal, but I have so much money at this point that I manage to tear the base apart bit by bit. Once the walls are destroyed, the rest of the base has no chance, so my grunts overwhelm Kol Tiras. Surprisingly, Teal is still mining from their main gold mine by the time I take them out, so I have more than enough gold to obliterate the rest of the map. Once all of their grounded structures are destroyed, I finally blow up a grunt-proof wall to the northwest, take out Teal's griffin aviaries, then finish off the rest of Teal's ships. Kol Tiras is no more. The next level is a non-base level, so we'll pretend it doesn't exist. With that out of the way, we can get to the last act of the campaign. In an attempt to weaken humans, the orcs have devised a clever plan to plant mages in the Alliance in an attempt to trick them to abandon the ways of the Footman. To do this, we must rescue a captive mage from Alterac, then destroy the human strongholds there. We start with 7 knights, an ogre, 3 dragons, 4 peons, and no gold mine. Oh, that's not good. Yeah, I tried, but I don't think it's possible to get my peons to a gold mine and still beat the level without using my starting army. So, I compromise. I decide to start the level by going on a rampage with my starting army, killing a bunch of random units near my base to start the level, then charging my army blindly into white space and letting them get slaughtered by white's defenses. With that, I start the level. Attacks come pretty early and get pretty insane over the course of this level, so I build a ton of guard towers everywhere. Red sends attacks to my starting base, while white attacks my gold mine. But with my towers, things feel pretty secure. I start to get a bit confident, so I move to cut off white's access to their second gold mine. As soon as I move my grunts away from my main base, all hell breaks loose. Red chooses that moment to unleash a massive attack everywhere at once, and white follows that up by adding reinforcements of their own. I have a bit of a gold bank now, so I spend it all just training up grunts in a desperate attempt to put out fires. I try to get cheeky, sending my peons to the expansion up north to try and tower rush it, but a red paladin kills them before the towers even start. I try to camp out white's expansion and kill several peasants, but red sends an attack towards somewhere else, distracts me, and then white lures my army into their towers. This is utter chaos, but my bank holds, and with 5 racks production, I'm able to quickly rebuild before their next strike. I take advantage of a slight break, sending separate armies up north and down south to disrupt their mining. I destroy red's expansion, kill off another group of white's peasants, and everything becomes calm again. Without their expansions, white can't produce. I actually love this level. Everything gets so chaotic as both the player and the AI are scrambling to try and control the outer gold mines. The enemy is just as desperate as I am to get control of these mines, and that's a mechanic you sadly don't see too often in modern RTS campaigns. In most RTS campaigns, the AI cheats for resources, but in Warcraft 2, it mines everything fairly. This means that after 4 minutes of absolute chaos, I've won the resource war. Still, something is bothering me. Did red really mine out of their main base? I remember them having a lot more gold than this before. Of course. I swear this campaign is normally really hard, guys. The AI doesn't usually break this much, I think. Probably. Clearing out white space is pretty simple, but red space is still going to be an issue. I have all the money in the world, but red space has walls, and they seem specifically designed to keep grunts out. These walls encircle enemy ballistas and cannon towers, while enemy paladins will not make breaking down these walls easy. There are also rivers in front of red space, which will make pathfinding that much more nightmarish. So, instead of trying to break through, I just build up. I mine out all the gold in the map, then max out with 213 supply and 27,000 gold in the bank. I save, pray, and go for it. I make slow, bloody progress. My supply dips so fast during this fight, but I just have waves and waves and waves of grunts, and slowly I start to pick apart the walls. I lose 184 grunts during this one attack. Still, the bodies are not in vain. For every grunt red kills, I send in 2 more. Eventually, the bodies destroy the ballistas and cannon towers within the walls, and they can't keep up their resistance any longer. The horde washes over the base, and red's once mighty fortress falls. All I need to do now is rescue the mage and return him to our base. This is easy enough, but there is one more weird interaction that happened. Teal has a few destroyers in the river, which normally provides a small speed bump to make it slightly more difficult to rescue this mage. However, Teal's destroyers kind of glitched out. They just didn't attack my oil tanker or goblin zeppelin. Then, once I sunk the ships, the oil platform underneath the destroyer was suddenly unclickable. I don't know what happened, and it didn't really change anything, but it was very weird. The Eye of Dalaran starts me with a large army which I'm supposed to use to make an amphibious landing against a heavily fortified human base. Obviously, there's no way my army of 3 grunt and 3 peons will be able to secure a gold mine here, right? Well, I'm not going to be able to get the gold mine the players usually start out with on this mission, but after looking around, I see an opportunity. As the level starts, I put all of my grunts and peons in a transport, then rush them to the other side of the map. I barely make it to an undefended gold mine with one peon, then start building up my base. The rest of my starting units are liabilities at this point, so I kill them all. I do start with Terran Gorefiend on this mission, but weirdly, you don't actually need to keep him alive to beat the mission. It's not listed in the mission objectives, so I abandon the Death Knight and just let him die. Because my base is further away from white than it normally would be, enemy griffins take longer to find me, which gives me some extra bit of time to build up. I build farms in front of my towers to give them some extra protection, and I'm able to stabilize. Unfortunately, my starting gold mine isn't very large and I need to expand soon. Because I'm sequence breaking, the nearest base is purple instead of white, and purple's main is surprisingly weak. They're mining, but they aren't upgrading or training a ton of units. I'm not really sure if purple is always this weak, or if they're just designed to be weak early and build up later, but I'm very lucky that they're vulnerable. With 2 control groups of grunts, I attack their base. It's a close battle, but I'm victorious and I'm able to take over purple's main. The most chaotic part of this level is over and things become pretty easy for a while. White, for some reason, starts the level with 50,000 gold, but doesn't have any workers to mine with. When white runs out of money, they become completely helpless. I free up 2 more gold mines with ease while destroying all the rest of white's production, then clear out the rest of purple's main. I ignore most of the towers on the coast, since I don't actually need to clear out white to beat the mission. I just gotta destroy purple. The final boss in this level is a nightmare. Purple has a fortified base set up in a spiral shape. This landmass alternates between tiny rivers and narrow choke points, and my grunts need to brave ballistas, mages, and cannon towers as they cross the tiny land bridge. It's hard to overstate just how effective this section is at making grunts completely and effectively useless. I keep sending in groups of 27 grunts, and they manage to scratch the paint on enemy cannon towers before dying. Still, even slow progress is progress, and I just have way too much gold to ever fail at this point. Every time I kill something, the next wave makes slightly more progress until the enemy doesn't have enough left to stop me. My grunts break in, reach the mage tower, and blow up Dalaran's last structure. The mages have been thoroughly embarrassed, and the horde is victorious. There's only one more level left, and it is, in my opinion, the hardest level in all of Warcraft 2. The humans, desperate to stop the horde, have put in a last-ditch effort to bring everything together to destroy this portal once and for all. We need to stop them, though the task is monumental. Humans have set up 4 massive bases that span the entire level, and the orcs begin the level on the attack, with a big army but no mine. Even the closest base, Teal, is a nightmare to take on, as they have a ton of units and towers, with a ton of their defenses being encircled by walls. The good news is, I start with a pretty sizable army. I have 12 grunts, 2 heroic grunts, and 7 peons. Unfortunately, I somehow missed that I have 2 heroic grunt units, and only use Grom. Looking back at the footage, I'm clueless on how I missed that, but it definitely makes things harder. Instead of assaulting Teal directly, I bypass the base by breaking through a wall to the east, then head over to an open gold mine to just the edge of Teal's base. The attacks are early, frequent, and massive, so I need guard towers right away. By setting up my towers in range of a few of Teal's buildings, I force Teal to bring a ton of peasants to repair. My towers shoot the repairing peasants, and soon, Teal doesn't have any peasants left over and is essentially knocked out of the game. For this level, I treat my starting army as allied units. I'm using all my APM on setting up my base, and they kill off a few early attack waves to let me set up my base. My starting army doesn't last long though, and soon the attack waves are hitting my base at full force. I do not have much room to build stuff in my base, and there's a really annoying walled cannon tower from Teal that's preventing me from repairing my towers. After it kills several peons and grunts, I finally get a couple of spare grunts to attack it, and I actually manage to get rid of it. With no support, cannon towers are pretty weak, and I finally get a bit of breathing room. Eventually, Purple runs out of money and starts long-distance mining Teal's base. Purple's attacks slow, but then White's attacks suddenly stop too, and I'm not sure why. White still has money left and they are still mining, but they just completely stop. Purple still sends in the occasional mage to harass me, and Blue continues sending griffins everywhere. Taking advantage of the reprieve, I start destroying Teal's main base and expand to their gold mine. Because I killed all of Teal's peasants early, they still have a lot of gold left for me to steal. This is good, because there are a lot of enemies left on this map, and I'm going to need to build guard towers everywhere. It takes a while, but I'm able to destroy Purple and White without too many issues. Now, only Blue remains, but their base is going to be a little more complicated. Blue's base consists of 3 islands surrounded by a lake. They have destroyers and battleships protecting their coasts and are constantly sending griffins to attack me. Their land army isn't particularly threatening, but they have enough towers that it's still a challenging landing. My gold supply is also not infinite, as I only have 50,000 gold for the rest of the level. That might sound like a lot, but as I start the siege, I'm only at 25 supply, and that's going to need to cover towers, grunts, ship infrastructure, and transports. I build a bunch of cannon towers alongside the coast to lure and sink enemy battleships, while simultaneously building guard towers to protect against enemy griffins. This process is expensive, but also successful, and by the time I've cleared out the last destroyer, I have 30,000 gold remaining. Next, I need to destroy Blue's island bases. In an attempt to kill them before their gold mine runs out, I start in the southern base, dropping off 6 grunts at a time near enemy cannon towers. While I eventually do destroy all of their cannon towers and overwhelm the base, I'm spending a ton of money and time to do it. Blue is mined out by the time I destroy their base, so I'm not able to get any extra money from them. Still, I load up all my grunts and send them to the upper island and just destroy everything there. Now, I just have to capture the Dark Portal and the campaign is over. Except, I lied. There's not just the Dark Portal left. Teal also has a string of walled-in towers near my starting position. I've been ignoring these because they aren't a threat to me, but I do need to destroy them to win. Maybe I have enough money left to take the Dark Portal, and maybe I have enough money left to destroy these towers, but I definitely don't have enough money to do both. I try several times, but don't even get close and have to reset. My next attempt, my goal is to rush to Blue's base as fast as I can, only destroying essential structures in Purple's base. I managed this time to take out Blue's town hall while their mine still has gold remaining, and I'm given an extra 60,000 gold. It's not too long before I manage to get back to where I was before, only this time with an extra 34,000 gold. Confident, I attack the line of walled towers. Since the towers don't have much unit support, I'm able to send smaller squads of grunts at a time, which improves my micro and reduces their splash damage. It still takes a lot of grunts, but I'm eventually able to overwhelm the towers. Only the Dark Portal remains. This portal is guarded by every single human hero, several paladins, and a cannon tower. The only way I can enter this island is through a narrow choke point within range of the cannon tower, and enemy paladins love to heal up whatever damage I deal. This is the final boss, the Horde's final test to see if grunts are truly worthy of the portal's love. By the time I'm ready to begin the assault, I'm at 54 supply and have 24,000 gold in the bank. There aren't many enemies, but the enemies are tough, and I need to make every wave count. On my first wave, I go for the cannon tower, but fail to kill it. 18 grunts fall while luring Blue's heroes to the front of the choke point. For my second wave, I prepare my trump card. Grom is still alive and he's going to lead the charge for wave 2. As my units unload, Grom kills an enemy paladin. Then he kills the second one. Then a third falls. An enemy tower takes down my hero, but the damage has been done and my grunts have enough space to unload. A fourth paladin falls and a third transport unloads. Without being able to get healed, Terralion also falls. Danath, the true ultimate footman, manages to heroically finish off my wave, but he can't do it all by himself, and I have more grunts coming. My final wave overwhelms Danath, takes out Khadgar, and kills Alaria near the portal. The Horde reigns supreme once again. As he watches this unfold in his mind's eye, the great prophet Medivh sighs. Danath was overwhelmed because he was the only footman allowed in the Holy Circle. The Paladins didn't have the heart to continue defending against overwhelming odds, and magic was never going to be able to turn back the Horde. The humans, in a moment of weakness, allowed the taste of magic to consume them, and the Grunts took care of the rest. At least, that's what Medivh saw happen in his prophecy, but he knows it doesn't need to become true. If humans abandon the night and take up the sword instead, there is a promised land waiting for them on the other side. The road may be harder, but it is righteous. If humans can only send footmen through the Great Portal, he claims, then they will be victorious and nothing can stand in their way. Will Medivh's prophecy come true? Let's find out next time when we take on Beyond the Dark Portal with only footmen.